think the term scripts sometimes gets a bad name. It sometimes comes off as just being kind of disingenuous or robotic in the flow of a conversation. But I think we can all agree that there is a language of sales, of knowing what to say, when to say it, and how to say it in the flow of a conversation that just helps with lead conversion. So I hope you find this MasterREMind session beneficial and something of value as some of my partners dive into this topic a little bit deeper. This is session 1 of 2, and so I'll do another follow-up video for round 2. Thank you very much.
So I want to start off with Bobby right off the bat. Bobby, how do you use scripts in your business every day to get buyers, sellers, investors, past clients, sphere of influence, and what are your best scripts that you're using?
It's very, very simple. I've got a one-pager that I put together over a decade ago, and I just kind of memorized this one script, and I used it over and over and over again, whether it's at a party, whether it's at a on the phones, whatever it is. I basically just followed kind of the same format. And in a minute, I'll pop it into the I'll pop in a Google Doc for not only this, but I've got thousands of other pages of scripts that I've been collecting for years and years and years. So you're going to get 2 links here in just a second. But the first thing that I would say when it comes to getting on the phone, because that's really the whole thing, right? Most of this is going to be on the phone. Some of this will be door knocking, whatever you're into. Just get really good at it. And when it comes to getting on the phone, I always like to stand up. That's why I have the stand-up desk. Sitting down, you feel, not as energized. All of a sudden, you're kind of tired. You don't feel as good. But when you're standing up, you're standing tall, you're smiling, people will feel that on the other end. And the one thing that I've always trained every single agent on my team is to find out motivation. That is the key to all scripting, is what is their motivation? What problems are they dealing with? And how can you fix those problems? And early on in my career, I used to be like this. I think I learned that from you, Pete. You were just talking all the damn time. And so, and then I slowed down and I started asking simple questions like, do you own or do you rent? Do you need to sell before buying? All these questions are all in order, and motivation is like the third question. What's motivating you to make a move right now? On a scale of 1 to 10, how important is it for you to be moved by the date that you just told me? What would happen if things didn't work out and you couldn't be closed by this date? So these are all just basic questions, but it's over and over and over again. If I'm at a party, I'm using the same script. Hey, how long have you lived in this house? Of course, I've already looked up the information. I already know what they bought it for. I already know all the comps within 6 months if I'm going to a friend's house and I know that they're the owner. Okay, so that's something that everyone should be doing. But the key with scripting, in my opinion, is mirroring them. So if they're talking really loud, you're talking really loud. If they're talking soft, you're talking soft. But where most people fail is in the nurturing process. So you can do great with all the scripting, but then if you don't nurture that lead over time, then that's a huge, huge problem. So one of the things I'm also going to drop in the chat here in a minute will be scripts from Ylopo. And this particular script book, haven't seen one quite as interesting. It teaches you the flow. So if someone takes the time to actually read through it, they will really understand the nurturing process much better. And, because you could have all the scripts in the world and be the best salesperson in the world, like Carlos Gutierrez. That guy could sell, anything, right? Look at that smile. So, you could be that good, but if they're not ready and they're not motivated, then it doesn't, you're not going to push them over the finish line. You could try, but then sometimes if they're not ready, they will pull back and then you lose them. So I think it's important to understand where they're at in the process and work along that timeline, and then you'll get the business. But you got to stay in touch, and that's where most people fail. They don't stay in touch. They don't have a system. My system, once I put them into my CRM, I'm always sending them something of value. So whether it's cookies, brownies, we're sending them a send out card. These are all templates that are easy to do. I have a virtual assistant in the Philippines that is send her an email, and then bam, she pops it out. I see the order. If there's anything I need to change, I can change it myself. So that makes it very easy. And then you're putting in a drip process to follow up with them, whether it's automatic or making those phone calls. I'm more of a phone call kind of guy. I don't do a lot of drip of just crap, like especially email drips. I'm not a big fan of. I just like to pick up the phone and I text them a lot, and that's pretty much it. And again, solving their problems. What do they need help with? So
I like that. And you keyed in on something super important. You have to ask questions. The person that asks most questions wins. So you have to ask questions, and you have to be a great listener, because people will give you gold when you're listening. You don't, just remember, guys, when you are working scripts or you're trying to build a relationship with somebody, it's tough to build it if you're talking all the time. It's way easier to build it if you're listening and you make them the most important person in the room. So I think that's some great stuff. I'm going to go from Bobby to the guitar playing realtor on the East Coast, Mitch Ryback. Mitch, what scripts have you used in the past that have been the most effective to convert somebody as a client? It could be listing, it could be buyers, it could be open houses. I'm giving you free reign. But you have to unmute in order to talk to us. That's it. That's one of the conditions.
I read that in the book, the Unmute book. I forgot it at home today. So before I do that, I have to give you a demonstration. So when I would train agents, and this kind of we hit on before we started the thing, I would take out my trusty guitar and I would say, I've been playing guitar since I was 13. And I first started playing guitar, trying to play a C chord, it would be like, nothing would come out, right? And then all of a sudden I learned how to play a C chord, right? And then I tried to switch from a C chord to a G chord, it'd be like, and then it'd take me like forever. And then finally, after lots of practice, I was, right? So my point is, all this is for nothing if none of you practice this stuff. You have to practice, practice, practice. You don't become good at anything unless you practice it. So that's my soapbox on that. I don't have a ton of scripts. So I'm gonna tell you how I've done things. I have a few, so I have lines. So I used to, because my whole way I do everything is I don't want to use the word wing it, but it's all shifts all the time based on personalities and who I'm hanging out with. So, but I'm going to give you a couple of my lines that I use all the time that help me convert people. Number one, open houses is not, are you working with a realtor? Which realtor in town are you working with? Huge difference in result. Huge difference in result. When you say, are you working with a realtor? They all say yes. When you say, which realtor in town are you working with? They go, blah, 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 blah. They don't answer you, right? When I'm showing property, I always set the best house I know they're going to buy second to last. And on the last house, which is similar to all the homes, it wasn't the best house. I say, we've looked at a lot of homes the last couple of days, and that last one really seemed to stick out. Do you want to go back and see it? Right? Do you want to take a second look? 80% writing an offer on doing that. In fact, I would take that house and make that second to last, no matter where I was. That house was still going to be second to last. I don't care if I had to drive 20 miles out of the way. Those are my biggest ones that I used. Obviously, we have drip campaigns and all that stuff too. My whole philosophy when I'm with the customer is not talk about real estate. So I talk very, very little about real estate when I'm on the phone. I talk very little when I'm with the customer. I talk about their families. I talk about their what they're trying, their goals in life, not necessarily real estate related. I'm just trying to get them to like me as a person. So if they like you as a person, they generally use you. What I did do when I first started in the business, I bullet pointed things. So when I used to up telemarketing centers, we didn't use scripts, we used bullet points because I wanted people to use their personalities. And unless you're really good at owning a script, which I'm not, which is why I developed this way of doing it. You've got to find a way around that. If you're good at internalizing a script, there's so many. I mean, some of the Mike Ferry stuff that I've read, I know it's old school, but he's got some great scripts. But definitely figure out what works for you, and you have to have something. Like I have an organization, I have a strategy on everything that I do. It's just not a word for word script. One of my other lines that I use in all my emails, as a realtor, I work by referral only. I could really, really use your help. If you know someone looking to buy or sell, could you send me their info? Again, very simple script, but it creates a lot of results. So I know I'm not the best script guy.
And I think, Mitch, one of the key things you taught me in the past, especially with open houses and conversion, is what's the name of the local agent that you're working with?
Yes.
Because they have to give you a name.
Yep.
Right. Everybody makes that mistake. Just like when somebody's asking for an order, if they know someone who's looking to buy, sell, or invest in the next 30 days, they say, "Who do you know?" Right.
Yep.
Or,
absolutely.
Most people say, "Do you know anyone?" And they say no.
Yeah.
But say, "Who do you know?"
Yeah, I even take that a step further when I'm talking to that customer at an open house, because they say, "Well, Bill Jones." I'm like, "Oh, has Bill been showing you property?" And they're like, "Well, no." I go, "Well, how do you know Bill?" He goes, "Well, we registered on his website." So you're not really working with Bill. Now, I would never steal a customer for anybody because it's totally against my morals. But someone, just because you registered on a website doesn't mean you work with somebody. Okay?
Yeah,
and you guys all know that because you've all lost customers that they registered on your websites that went to somebody else.
That's right. That's right. And we usually say that too. I don't want to step on anybody's toes.
Yeah.
I believe in having integrity and being upfront. So
I would actually, when they were actually working with someone, I would actually pick up the phone after they left and call the realtor, even if I didn't know them, and say, "Hey, just want to know your customers came in the door."
Love it. Love it. Any other inside tips before I get to one of the other old dogs?
No, go for it. I mean, like I said, I know these guys have some great. These are all script masters, and look at this face. I have to wing everything.
Oh, you have to wing it. I know. Okay, I like that, but you learned how to play the guitar, so that's a good thing. I'm going to go over to Lurchy. He's in his new office in Philly. Look at him. He's flying high right now. Old dog, new tricks. Let's go back to the old guy in real estate. What are some of your tricks when it comes to scripts, calling people? Do you use certain scripts when you're reaching out to past clients, a sphere of influence?
I think the biggest thing that we all have to remember when we first get into the business, we all used to fight wanting to use scripts. Oh my God, it doesn't sound like me. Oh my God, I can't say that. Oh my God, it sounds like I'm reading it. Guys, ladies, everybody, life's a script. Tiger Woods' golf swing is a script. The guy's driving an Indy car is a script. It's doing it 10,000 times. That's what it does. But then as you do it more and more, it becomes you. And it comes out as you, not the piece of paper. Once you become comfortable with you is when other people will want to work with you more. Not everybody, and we've said this before, not everybody's your client. And not everybody is going to want to work with you. Work with the people who want to work with you, the way you want to communicate, the way you want to work, the way you want to follow up. And if they're not in your world, refer them to somebody else that is, because they're just going to suck the energy out of you and make you use dialogues that you're not used to. All right. I'm not very analytical. So when I'm dealing with a very analytical engineer type person, I'm usually not the right mix. So I bring somebody in with me. It doesn't matter how good of a dialogue I'm using or how good of a script. If the personality isn't there, you got to know that. I was with a client yesterday, and we were in this house that absolutely gorgeous. They had another agent about 18 months ago. They're getting ready to interview a new agent. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I got to tell you guys are interviewing a couple of agents, and I'm not sitting here doing a dog and pony show. And this is part of a script. Your energy level's up here. If you hire an agent who's down here, they're going to drive you crazy. You're never going to think they're going to do a job. So you got to remember also your DISC personality traits. You got to be that chameleon to people and be your personality. You can't come in and run over a grandmom who's selling her house. You got to slow down and talk to her. So again, it goes back to the scripts that we have that then become you. And how I use them is all the same scripts. We all have the same things. We in a different version here or there, but we customize them to ourselves. And the difference is same thing that all of us have our routine that we get up in the morning, we get fired up to come to the office, like Bobby running around doing his hair, Mitch practicing his guitar. The bottom line is it's a routine. Show up, do it, make the calls and practice because it'll become second nature. 2 ears, 1 mouth, use them in proportion, your business will grow.
Stuff. I mean, it sounds basic, you guys, but the basics win. You have to be consistent. It's a system. That's it. Do it over and over and over repetitiously so it becomes you and it becomes second nature. That's the big thing. I want to go from Lurchy.
Real quick, the one
No,
line
go
that I
ahead.
one line that I always ask people, always, and I've been doing it for God over a decade now. What happens if? Because they're like, what do you mean? What happens if? What happens if we don't succeed in what you're working for? And what happens if we do? Where's your mindset in these things? Well, I never thought of that. I'm going to be homeless. My kids need to be in a new school. Find the pain point and you will find people's motivation. I call it the yikes or the yields. Okay. The situation is the story of where they're presently. The target is where they want to be. The objections in the process, the responses to the process, and then the yikes and the yields. Just remember the word story, STROY. You go through that with a client on everything with your scripts. You will be able to find their pain point and you will be able to get to the bottom line very easy. Thanks, Pete.
Story again. What is story again? Go ahead. Give me the acronym.
Situation.
Huh?
Situation. S for situation. Target. Objections. What are the objections we're going to run into? What are the responses to the objections that we can come in? And what is the yield or the yikes if it doesn't happen? And if you process on a story, every conversation with people, you will do a lot of listening, a lot less talking, and you'll get to know them and their pain points without directly saying, what's your pain point? Or you can be direct like Mitch and just say, what's your pain point?
That works too, right? It's all gold. It's all good stuff, Lurchy. I like it. I'm going to go from Lurch back over to the West Coast to the birthday boy, Carlos G. He just turned 21. Look at him. He's as lively as ever.
Let's go, baby.
Listen, here's the deal. If you guys really want to learn how to take a script and make it part of you, this is the guy. He's the most consistent, disciplined person I've ever seen with scripts and with calling in my life. And that's why he has huge success, because he doesn't make excuses. He just does it. Just do it. Go ahead, Carlos. What scripts do you use first and foremost?
Well, I'm going to go to Craig Lurch. I've never met you or whatever. And I'm going to just whatever Craig did and said, do what he does. That was perfect example. Mike Ferry all the way. The identifying the personality styles is probably key within the first 5 to 10 seconds of who you're speaking with. And we know that when we're calling our database for sure. However, but I call it canceled, expireds, circle dial, but hitting that off. And what Bobby was saying is the tonality when you're speaking to someone, how fast are you speaking to them and how softly and how to ask with the downswing. That's really important. I'm Mike Ferry, coached and trained. So, whatever Mike says, it's old school, but hey, we're reading books probably from the last 50, 60, 70 years, and it's all tried and true here in this marketplace that we're in now. More than ever, I believe, which Pete is, and all of you are on here for a reason, that the market is shifting. We need to go back to the basics. And for those that don't, they're going to go by the wayside. So that's the time to practice. I've got 3 role play partners now every day starting at 7:45. I'm going to fill it. If any of you want to jump on, I've got Mondays at 7:45 and I've got, at 7:45, I got to go 8 because I've got coaching till 8. But Fridays, and we practice expireds, canceled, which is pretty much the same. And then database. I think database is going to be key for a lot of our businesses. And what you were saying earlier, Pete, is in regards to or I think who was it talk about lead follow-up. I mean, we get 75% of our business from lead follow-up, and a lot of our friends, if we don't follow up with them, they're going to use somebody else, and that's our fault. If we do not follow up, that is our fault, because they're going to get hooked up with a shitty agent more than likely. So That's my belief. And a lot of you guys are shaking your head yes, and that's our fault if we allow that to happen. So
You guys keep in mind, it's his birthday today. He's still up. He's still practicing. He's still working. He's still calling. He's just eating a birthday cake in between.
And he has a tie on his birthday. Man, you're a beast, Carlos.
every day, bro. Well, we
Love it.
all have our own little motivations, and the sooner that we do it, this is mine right here. If you can hear it. Oh, I'll do it here slowly.
This is definitely the Aztec warrior in him.
Oh, now you want to come over. Say good morning, Bella. Are you alive, excited, and full of energy? What? What are you talking about?
5 years
Is the
old.
unlimited wealth flowing from me? Oh, that's right, because today I'm communicative.
I'm communicative.
I'm courageous.
Great.
I'm dynamic.
I'm not.
I'm enthusiastic.
So we got to do our affirmations. That's what really creates that energy and enthusiasm of why are we doing what we do, right? Obviously, Craig, thank you very much. But if we're not like having that system that we do and driving the race car driver, the dentist, the pilot, and Mike Ferry always talks about that, the pilot, the lawyer, the doctor, they're always going to ask those questions and really pre-call who we're going to be working with, because we're going to work with them for 30, 60 days. And some of those people that we worked with, we probably, if we knew what was going to happen at the end, we probably wouldn't work with them. So nevertheless, we're on here for a reason. Scripts are scripts. I've got, the closing ones. Pete, you could share this with the group. I just took a picture. This is great from Ron Cronin. These are great closing scripts. We're always smiling and approving and agreeing and asking the next question and go to close. So if I could sell your home in the next 30 days, would that pose a problem for you, Bobby? How much equity is tied up in your home, Craig? Randy, do you want to take all your equity with you when you move? Cameron, was anyone showing you what you get for 6%? If we two agree, Pete, and we could get together, could we keep our meeting to no more than 15 minutes? Would that work for you? So it's all in questions. I do this on my wife all the time. I can't make statements or I get freaking beat up. So it comes to questions all the time. So
Hey, Carlos, if someone gives you an objection, do you stop and fight that objection, or do you wait and get all your questions and then come back to it? I know the answer, but I know everybody's different. I'm just curious about what you do.
Well, I can agree that, you believe that you're not going to give more than 5%. But when we get together later today, can we make that the first subject we talk about as commission? Because I'm hearing you want to net the most amount of money, right? Obviously.
Absolutely.
So I'll see you today at 4. Do you or your wife have any other questions before I arrive? Now, you're going to get a package at your front door by 2:00 that's going to have the listing package, our marketing plan, and a listing agreement. Will you please take about 5 to 10 minutes before we get together, review that information, and if you have any questions regarding that, will you call me? Great. I'll see you today at 4. So, you try to handle it there, but you want to get in front of them, because that's where our energy and enthusiasm is going to win it over. That's pretty much it. Smile, agree, approve, then ask the next question. That's all it is. And basically turn it. And we're all masters of that, or we wouldn't be on this call, right?
Guys, his tone, his fluctuation when he asks questions, and that he never tells them they're wrong. He says, if I hear you correctly, this is a big concern for you. Can we address that first and foremost? People like that. Go with the wave, be on their side.
Yeah.
And then just explain it out, right, Carlos?
That's it, because we're here to help them. We're the problem solver, and that's why we get paid so much money. We want to make them right and basically bring them to our side. So we have to agree, approve, then ask the next question, and then sometimes you have to level shift, throw in an NLP. I completely understand. And the best thing is to get you moved in the next 30 days, because that's going to help you in that next purchase, right? All right, great. Any other questions?
The vehicle, you guys want to be the vehicle for them to get to where they want to go.
Do what works for you. However, I just, granted, I'm doing the best I can, but the easier that I have scripts here, it's just one of those memory joggers. Like you were saying, Mitch, you had bullet points. I'm a master of bullet points as well. However, that's a script, because those key words are going to be, then you go into that, That's it. So
You guys, super, super important. He makes it look easy, but he does it every day, and he has a system, he has a schedule, and he knows that the fortune is in the follow-up and the follow-through. That's where it is.
Yeah.
The fortune is in the follow-through.
quick question, guys. And you can unmute yourselves. What are you seeing in your market in regards to, and you go down from Craig over to Brian, are you seeing a lot of people are more reluctant to list right now, or is it just they're going to hold tight because that fear basis is hitting with the interest rates going up? Craig.
East Coast right now in my marketplace, I've got a bunch of people that I've nurtured into getting on the market. I don't know if they're fearful. They're just saying, okay, you're right. I might have missed the loop. I might be clicking over it, but I'm not out of the game yet. And I think that was one of the dialogues that we've all used here. I've called them and said, you want to be sitting here 5 years from now? You're right. Don't sell. You want to be out of here in the next 5 there. So I'm seeing more listings. I'm getting more listings.
Where are your people moving to?
Where am I going? They're actually going to go to apartments for the next 2 years, or they're moving to their secondary home, or they're downsizing. So that's
Where are you? What market?
Right outside Philadelphia.
Okay, great. Okay, Brian, where are you? And I'm sorry, I'm not hijacking. I just want to hear where people are going, because I have these conversations with people, and I like to ask them where they're going.
Yeah, right now, if I'm talking to a seller or a past client who's asking about selling, I let them know that COVID was their greatest friend, because the last 2 years they've done nothing but put money in their pocket. The equity has been driven up by such a fear of missing out market right now that you're in good shape. Pricing your home today at market value, don't expect it to get more than what we priced it at. You're not going to get an overbid right now, but you're still going to benefit from the equity run up that you've had in the last 12 to 24 months.
What's your market?
San Diego.
Oh, you're San Diego. Okay, Brian, good deal. Mitch.
Yeah, so we're on Cocoa Beach, Merritt Island, Melbourne, Florida.
Yeah.
The cool part of the country,
a lot of people are moving there.
Everybody's moving here. It's crazy. So it's been interesting though. 2 months ago, we had 491 single family homes on the market. Today we have a little over 800, I think 850. So that's showing a lot. That's what's happening. What I've been talking to my agents about is maximizing, we still have the problem is, where do you move, right? We normally, just to understand the size of our market, we're normally somewhere between 5,000 and 6,000 single family homes on the market. So we have no homes basically. So what we've been talking about to all of our investor people from out of the area, because they don't need a place to move, is this is an amazing time to take advantage of your profits. Because one thing we do know right now is the market is shifting, and it is going to shift. So what you should be doing is a realtor, you guys, and I tell this to everybody, but nobody really listens to me because I make too many jokes. But the reality is if you're in a market where in 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14, you could buy 30% of what the value is right now, which you could. You should be calling every investor that doesn't live there and trying to get their home sold, because they need to lock in their profit now.
Right.
In fact, you talk about scripts. That's my script, right? You paid $65,000 for that house. It's now worth $400,000. You need to lock in your profit now. We have those everywhere down here, but you guys have that there in the West Coast. I mean, it's a different number. Yours was, you paid $2 million. It's now worth $4 or $5.
Big time.
Yeah.
Randy.
So my main sphere of influence would be within investor community. So I just basically I run a mastermind for them monthly, and one of the things we talked about this past week is not to be afraid, right? And not stop going after properties, right? We just talk about pivoting. So I train my investor community how to adjust with the market, and I shared what we do with our flipping company and how we're adjusting, right? Because I also don't want my clients buy a property and then lose money, because that can put them out of business, right? That doesn't help anybody. Doesn't help them, doesn't help me. So my goal is to educate them on how do we pivot. So it would be things like, hey, you might want to now not use an ARV or after repair value of the last sold comp, maybe adjust it down by 5%, right? Just start future pacing of what could happen, because we don't know, it might not, but there's stats are showing us that it probably will. So just apply that now, and then educating them on how to talk to agents so they could educate their clients when they are looking to accept an investor offer. So don't assume that the listing agent knows how to educate their own client, right?
Yep.
because then the investor offer might look low to the seller. But if it's explained correctly, like, look, the market is shifting, here's the stats, like we as investors have to equip the listing agents with those stats, right? And how are we coming up with our number instead of just throwing out a number and that's it. That doesn't work.
Yeah.
So those are the major things.
Yeah, and keep in mind, that's good stuff, Randy. I think also people have to understand out there that there's even scripts to explain data and explain stats. You know, there's a certain protocol that you have to do in explaining that. There's a place and a time for that. And you have to have a presentation for each audience, right? There's not just one presentation for all audiences. It's got to be a presentation for each personality type in each audience. That's the key thing, and you have to know how to pivot on that. But Carlos, before we end with you, because I know it's your birthday, you have a cake to eat, you have all types of things going on. What is how many scripts you actually use? Is there a common amount, or is it just based on the situation or the theme?
I use expired. I use cold call. I use a database. We just tweaked the new database call for voicemail, as well as the live call. And that's something basically is very important now, because we should be calling our database. But I was going to go back into it, presenting the offer, and Craig was talking about it. When we get those offers, we need to present what was their motivation. And that's what we start off with before you even talk any numbers, and you work backwards on the offer. That was a big one that's really helped a lot. As Randy was talking, you have to educate, and that's with the, giving that feedback and giving the stats of where we're at. So yeah, I use probably, 4 different scripts: for sale by owner, circle dial, cold call, database, and for sale by owner. So
you leave, if you get a voicemail, either on canceled, withdrawn, expired, you don't leave a message.
No.
But on database and past clients, you do.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And that's basically, hey, it's Carlos, just give me a quick call. I had a lot of past clients call me right now asking me what the hell is going on in the real estate market. Well, so I thought I'd reach out to you first and just give you some of the stats of what's going on with inventories on the rise. Well, it's at the same time, the sales have been the same. So as inventory rises, sales stay the same, and interest rates are starting to inch up. What do you think is going to happen to prices? So we're not seeing them come down too much yet. However, who do you know that's talking about selling and wanting to take advantage of this market now? Call me ASAP.
Who do you know? You got to plant that seed. Who do you know right now needs my help?
Yep, that's it. So, and we got our database is our friend. So as you all know, you're where you're at because of that, most likely. So we just got to be upping our numbers with our database.
All right, let's go from Carlos G. Happy birthday, buddy. Love you. I hope you do well today. Have a good day.
Carlos, put in, how do we get in on the script calls if anybody wants to? Is that something that we can join?
I just do it one-on-one, basically. I mean, we could, there's groups out there, but if you want to do one-on-one, Pete, can you share my phone number? Yeah, sure. I got Mondays from 8 to 8:15, and I got Friday from 7:45 my time. Where are you, Randy?
I'm on the West Coast. I'm just thinking about one of my team members that I'm grooming to become a superstar agent. So
okay.
But
okay. I take them all for 30 days, and bring them up, and just, they got to come ready, prepared. We're not bullshit and slapping each other on the ass. It's just game time. That's it. 15 minutes hard.
Thanks for sharing.
And you got to be punctual, and you got to be prepared.
Let's go.
Right? Be in character. That's a big thing. Good stuff. I'll give out Carlos's number on that. I want to go from Carlos. We're going to go back to the East Coast to the tannest guy in Southern California. He's been working on his tan. He was at the Top Gun premiere. He was out on the deck, playing football on the beach, all types of things. Cameron Smith, what are you using for scripts, and what's your best script right now that's getting you business?
It was volleyball. We're doing volleyball. Remember?
Oh, and the new one, it's football. So you're wrong. You got to go see it.
Yeah, okay.
All right, go ahead.
I'm going tonight. All right, scripts. First thing, guys, Carlos, that was awesome. I can tell you're an MFO guy because you're just like we were back in the day. You got to be bulldogs, you guys. You got to get on the phones. You'll get better by doing it. You will get better by doing it. When you first look at scripts, they are, you don't even have them internalized. You're reading them. You sound like someone that's reading a book. We have to really look at what scripts are. This really helped me. All a script is asking questions that we know the answers to, or that lead the conversation down a path that we have a close, or that we have a question or a statement that leads with a close to where we're going, right? So when we think of scripts, we don't have to read them verbatim. You implement them in your conversation. And I think that's what a lot of everyone before has been saying, is that as you do them and as you internalize them, they start to sound natural, because you don't sound, they're not line 1, line 2, line 3, line 4. One of my favorite lines, or one of my favorite scripts that you guys were talking about earlier, is when you meet someone that says they've been working with an agent, or you're out on a listing presentation and they say they're interviewing other agents, like you guys said, well, what is the name of the other agent you're interviewing or that you're working with? And I always have added on, I know all the top agents in the area. And then they'll give you off a name. Oh, it's so-and-so. Oh, I don't know them. What does that do? Yeah, that's all you got to say. Oh, I don't know who know they. You just said that you know all the top agents, and then you say you don't know them. That's all, and then you just leave it there. Oh, okay, great. Well, and then obviously if they're a buyer client and you're trying to take them on, have you signed anything with this agent? Are you happy with their service? You go from there. And if it's a listing presentation, then you're a bulldog. You can say whatever you want to do after that. I know a lot of you guys say that you never say anything bad. I'm on the same thing. I never say anything bad about another agent, but I sometimes do say I don't know who they are. Staying in touch, guys, with your follow-up scripts. I don't use a script for this. It's personal. Once you convert them and you get them in your CRM and they're your client, follow-ups are more like, hey, Pete, how's the family? How's everything going? Just wanted to check up. It's been a few weeks since we spoke last. And every time they'll say, oh yeah, I've been seeing a lot about the market. What's going on? They'll bring up the real estate because they know what you're calling for. But our job is to be personable. We want to be their realtor. We're part of this huge transaction, especially down here in South Florida with second homes, third homes, vacation homes. It's a huge life transaction. You can call them, ask about their family, ask about their dog, ask about their wife and their kids and all that, and it will always revolve into real estate. Best script I can give you guys today, and this is super important. This is really how to present scripts or how to call on the phone. Always be smiling. Obviously, I stand up like a lot of us do. We have standing desks. They're not that expensive. It keeps your energy up. Every new call is an adventure. Every new call is a different person. You approach it differently. Like everyone says, if you get an old lady on the phone that's really quiet and you talk really quiet with her and you ask her really quiet questions and you're soft. Or if you get a girl from New York and she's like, oh, goddamn, all these damn realtors have been calling me. I hate all these damn realtors. It is so bad. It's the worst part of my job. I completely understand what you're going with. Let me help you get all these calls to stop. When can I come out and see your home, right? Whatever they say, you agree with it, you go along with it, and you move along and you flow through the conversation, adding these scripts and adding these questions along the way that lead to the closes and lead to you getting out and seeing the home, or obviously if they're a buyer, getting to pre-qual them, getting them to become your client. Best script I can give you guys is what I call my pre-qual script. It's whenever I have a raw internet lead come in, bam, you just pops up, bing, so-and-so just popped in the website, either a listing, whatever it is. I take a quick phone video. Hey, Pete, this is Cameron Smith down here in Southwest Florida. You just stopped by my website. I'd love to reach out to you just for a few minutes and go over what you're looking for. You can tell me about your dreams and your goals and just kind of tell me what you're looking for. When would be a good time I could give you a call? I'm available actually for the next 15 minutes. And then I send that text message, okay? Right after I send the video text message, I then text them, hey, this is Cameron Smith. You were just on my website. What that does is that when they receive the text, they get a video, which is odd. And then they get a text explaining who I am so that they don't just think it's some spam text message, right? So, hey, this is Cameron Smith. You were just on my website for, whatever. They watch the video. And then when they read the video, it'll say delivered, right? Because it's a text message. When it says delivered, I give it 60 seconds, maybe 90 seconds, and I call them. Because the idea is they know who I am, they know my phone number, they just seen my face, even if they haven't watched my quick little intro video, it's all lined up, they're on my website, you call them. This has changed my conversion rate for my online leads from right around 4% to right around 15%. So this is absolutely huge, you guys. Obviously, speed to lead is key, we all know that. But having this text message video that says, I'm so-and-so, of course, I always start it off like this. Hey, I'm so-and-so, this is Cameron Smith down here in Southwest Florida. it just gets you in front. It's something totally different. It shows people who you are, and it works wonders. So I'd really recommend that, guys. The video pre-qual scripts is really important. What else do I got for you? Last bit, Bobby, you said this, we all talk too much. As you get more comfortable and as you internalize the scripts more, you're actually going to learn that you're going to say stuff and then shut up and you listen. Because then what they say back to you, then you take that and you go on to your next question or your next script. Versus when you first get going and you're learning and you're internalizing, you want to go through all those questions and go through all those answers that you know and you've been working on, where it's more of a conversation with you're leading it down the path that you want it to go. With them, of course, feeling like they're in control the whole time, which they are. You know, they're in control of the conversation, but we're always heading towards the direction that I want it to go with the questions I want it to be. Mitch, like you said, you got to internalize the scripts. I think that's all, guys. That's really good. That's all I got for you for scripts. We have so many scripts. Mike Ferry scripts, obviously, are what I learned on. They are the best. I think the Tom Ferry scripts are wonderful as well. Again, though, you're using them to learn questions, to guide the conversation. You don't have to, it's not a race to see how fast you get down the list. And most of the time, you never get down the list. You get to 1, 2, 3, and you close, and you're out on the listing presentation. Or you have you gain the confidence of the client for a buyer client. So anyways, that's my spiel on scripts.
You know, just remember with those scripts, nobody's going to list their house over the phone typically. The goal is to get the appointment, get in the door. So it doesn't have to be a 20, 30, 60-minute conversation. You can get in and out, set the appointment, get there, get in front of them, get belly to belly. Go ahead.
One more thing. And this is a great example of that, guys. If you walk in for a listing presentation, the old MFO Mike Ferry listing presentation, you walk in and say, do you guys have any questions? If they say no, great, sign the contract. I've done that. And I've had one in my whole career where I walked in, I said, do you guys have any questions? No, sign the contract. They did. And I walked out the door and I went, oh my God, it worked. It always works. But usually they have questions and then you go from there. But you know, you have to be, you have to tell people what you want from them. You have to ask the questions and then always nod your head, smile with them. If you want them to say yes, you say yes. If you want them to say no, you say no. This is basic stuff. I know a lot of you folks know this, but maybe some of you guys don't. So if you want people to say yes, go like this. Well, you're asking them a question. Do you want to say no? No. What did you like about your last agent? Oh, those are things that I would definitely, not do or I would be doing. And it's neurological and psychological, guys, but it works. And it's all practice. So if you do it, no one's going to think you're looking silly by nodding your head with them. It might feel silly when you first start doing it, but it's part of learning, guys. If you get outside your comfort zone, that's when you grow and that's when you'll get better.
Like that. That's good stuff. I mean, it's all about scripts, you guys. What scripts do you use, Cameron? Where do you get your scripts?
So I use the Mike Ferry scripts, but like I said, I've internalized them. I don't read off them anymore. I still actually have them here, the old scripts. But I use the pre-qual script for the buyer script that I use those basic questions. I use the pre-listing script a lot from Mike Ferry. And then, like I said, the biggest one for me is that initial video call that, hey, I'm just so-and-so, you were just on my website, either looking at your home's evaluation or you're looking at homes in this area. And I just want to go over your dreams with you. I want to find out what your dreams are. When can I talk to you? And then I'm open in the next 15 minutes. And then if you call them, they'll call you back because they know who you are. It's like you gain all of their trust and they became your client within 3 minutes because they finally found a realtor that is helping them find their, for me, South Florida dream home. That's what they've been fantasizing about. And no one does that. No one reaches out to them and say, tell me about your dreams. Tell me about your family. Tell me about your dog. Tell me all about you and how I can help you. That's my biggest script right there is how can I help you on that first 1 to 3 minutes when they come online into your CRM.
Hey, Pete.
Yeah.
I just want to share something that really you guys all helped me. Cameron, good stuff. But this is a real life case study that I shared with you guys a couple of weeks ago. So I went on a traditional listing appointment, but before I went, I sent them an email and all this stuff, but I brought an apple pie, which I learned from you guys. So first thing I did, handed them apple pie, right? Icebreaker. They're like, wow, that shocks them always. And then if you guys, I don't remember 2 weeks ago, I said, oh man, I don't know how it went. Like I felt good about it, but she was stuck on a higher number than what the market was showing. So, you guys talked about stats. We gotta make sure we show stats. We show stats. And I really did not do a good job showing too many stats in the meeting. So right away after I got off our Zoom call 2 weeks ago, I emailed them stats, and I found this great little article on Redfin that had this to say. This is a listing appointment. I'm going to throw it in the chat, and it literally talks about. This was like perfect little article. New listings climbed sharply, and the share of listings with price drops reached a 2.5-year high as early stage homebuyer demand declined. Boom, I sent that over to them to get them motivated to make a decision now and not wait, right? And anyway, and I had an email exchange with them about it, which I will post my whole email exchange that I had prior to going to the meeting and after, and using the stats, right, that we talked about, and giving them comps that we reviewed in person, emailing them also afterwards. And then you'll see my email exchange with them, how I was trying to handle their objections that they were bringing up about Michigan, that, oh, we don't see anything that we like in Michigan, and how I handled that because they're moving to Michigan. Regardless, implementing all the things I'm learning here as well from you guys and some of my own stuff. And also, if you notice, when I put this PDF in there, I always assume I'm going to be listing it. So I basically what's that word? Like future pace, saying like, oh, I can't wait to work with you. I'm looking forward, like this is going to be great. I'm constantly saying those words in the email exchange, assuming they already made a decision that are going to use me, right?
That's the assumption close. That's a good close. Go, Cameron.
I used to bring out my photographer during the 2009, 2010 expired days. I would bring out my photographer on the listing presentation. I already got my photographer here. Let's sign the contract. We'll get the photos up and we'll be done. Everyone else says, oh, it's going to take a few days. My guy's here. Yes, there's been many listings that I went on that we didn't take photos. But you know what? I got a ton of, it's just something different, you guys. You got to go above and beyond. And if the photographer was driving around and he charged me $50 just to come with me. And then if he did the photos, he got his full amount. That's great, Randy. That's awesome, dude. You're on it.
So I just shared, you guys, I shared the seller questionnaire that I used in the appointment and my whole email exchange with them in a PDF form. And just so you guys kind of see the flow, because it's too much to share here in the 7 minutes we have left. But I also, what I do with my past clients and my any leads I get through the website, I do a quarterly update, which I then post on my website, which I'll show you guys. So I basically do a quarterly update instead of telling them like, oh, happy President's Day, or like this random stuff that they don't really care about. I don't do any of that. I get right to the like meat and potatoes of what really is happening in the market every single quarter. And then, so I don't like over email them too much. Every quarter they get a big update. And then if there's something that's crucial that's happening with certain month, then I will email them just about that, right? So you can check my website, because then I post those updates on my website just for SEO purposes. But that's literally what I emailed to all my clients and my.
Okay, let me hop to Matt so he gets a chance. Brian gets a chance because we're down to our last 5 minutes. Matt, what's the best script you're using consistently right now that's getting you business?
Well, you know what? I've really I think I started like everybody else with Mike Ferry scripts. And then I graduated to different scripts, and I don't really follow them verbatim. But I think for a lot of people on the call, one thing that's really important is asking a lot of questions and letting them talk. People love to talk about themselves. And a big part of what we do, you can have all the best scripts in the world, but people work with people they like. So you got to build rapport. You can sit there and overcome objections till you're blue in the face, but if they don't like you and they don't want to work with you, it's not gonna really end well. So that's the biggest thing I think everybody needs to do is remember to build rapport, ask a lot of questions, let them talk. Mirroring is really important. I always remember, if anybody remembers the book Grinding It Out by Ray Kroc, really good book. Ray Kroc's the guy that franchised McDonald's. And when they first started franchising McDonald's, the one problem that they had was that they were all high school kids that worked at McDonald's, and they couldn't get them. They told them all, you gotta stack the French fries straight up and down in the little bag, because if you don't, the customer doesn't get enough French fries. So Ray Kroc created that little scoop, and the little French fry scoop, what it does is it takes the French fries and it straightens them out and puts them straight up and down in the bag. Now, the kids who work at McDonald's, they don't realize that that's the reason they're using that scoop. They just do it. That's the beauty of scripts. You know, there's 6 ways to overcome an objection. There's, you know, answering a question with a question. There's lots of things. You don't need to know any of that if you have good scripts. So that's the, you know, you start out with scripts, they may sound a little forced, but you make them your own. And again, I don't even realize I'm using scripts half the time when I'm doing it, but I still use the same scripts really at the end of the day. But I think building rapport is really, really important, and asking lots of questions.
That's great stuff. That's great stuff. Brian, I'm going to go over to you. We got 4 minutes left. Give me some of your best stuff.
All right. Nothing has changed in real estate. Buyers still want the same thing and sellers still want the same thing since 1985 when I got in. We used a book, we used a crisscross directory, and we went out and we used Mike Ferry, or we used, you know, Brian Buffini later. We used Tom Ferry. Now we're looking at Jared James. We've got good coaching, but scripts have to be like what I've heard from everybody here, and Craig Lurch was kind of probably leaning to the most. It's got to become a part of your DNA. I love to sleep good at night. I don't them. They make me sleep good at night because I never second guess. What I do is I have a consistency of winning more than losing. That's what my scripts are meant to do for me. I rewrote scripts over and over and over again because today, what most buyers know more than most agents. They do more homework than the agent. So you don't have to know what to say about a lot. What you have to do is learn what to say to get trust. People like to work with someone they trust. Rapport builds opportunities to build trust. Communicating reliable information people trust. That's the word script broken down. If you Google what I'm saying and I'm reliable, then you're going to trust me a little bit more. That's all. So I wrote these things. Here's what I do know. The American dream or the American nightmare. Most clients are running around having a nightmare experience because no one's taken the time to sit them down, look them square in the eye and say, listen, I'm doing you. Like Brian's here. Hello? Am I there? Okay.
Good morning.
That's
this is
a
Brian.
script.
I can hear.
Keep going.
Okay, sorry, I'm getting a lot of feedback on my end.
Yeah.
If I let somebody know that I'm doing them a disservice, so if they're having a bad experience, right? When they walk in, I ask them this question: do you know what it takes to get your offer accepted in today's market? Do you know what sellers are looking for in a buyer?
Like maybe this
What is that? Hearing what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I'm hearing it. If somebody can mute, somebody's talking and not muted. So,
are you able to mute
I don't
all?
know why.
I just got an email from Mike about.
Are you able to mute everybody? That's so weird.
My email.
Yeah.
Saying that
Not right now.
wasn't able to attend this meeting or something. So.
Okay, somebody's getting in on our conversation. So
Yeah. So what's going on here is that someone is live streaming our conversation and we're hearing
right.
the video back through the live stream. So we are being pigtailed.
That this
Got it.
meeting was going to happen until about 10
So
It's
we
kinda
need
like-
to see who's talking right now, and it'll easily be able to tell you who's doing it. If you look through the chat log, and you'll see someone that's hot mic'd.
Cool. Well, hey, we can pick this up later, but all these scripts that I'm talking about are all great scripts that I've internalized. And again, for me, scripts are about sleeping well at night. I want to be very predictable, very straightforward. I want to have a rhythm that is always predictable.
Yeah, I got an email from.
Sounds like we got hacked or something. So I think let's pick up the scripts, continue part 2 next week, Pete.
Yeah, I think that would be great, Brian. Good stuff. I think it's important. We'll start off with you next week. Everybody had great stuff. You know, the key thing to scripts, you guys, they only work if you do them and use them, right? You got to be consistent. Carlos is consistent with his schedule. He uses it consistently, and you know something, he gets results. So if you want results, stop sitting on your hands. Stand up. Jump up and down, get some excitement, pick up the phone, call people, and ask for the order. Everybody's afraid to ask for the order. Somebody walks in the house, I say, do you want to buy the house? I don't say, do you want a glass of lemonade? I say that after they sign the contract. Then I'll give them all the lemonade in the world. But do you want to buy the house? If not, why not? What's the issue? What works for you? What doesn't? And then listen. Don't listen to interrupt. Listen to learn. That's the big thing, okay? Everybody, thanks for joining us. 10:01. Have a great weekend. Be successful. Carlos Gutierrez, happy birthday, buddy. We love you. And have a great time with your boss. Remember, know why you're doing this. Have fun with it. And make sure that Carlos's boss doesn't get mad at him. She's only 6 years old. All right, guys. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.
See you guys.
See you guys. Thank you.